Hello folks and welcome back to Medieval Total War. I am Step and this is going to be part 46 of my early campaign where I'm playing as Aragon. And I am feeling much better today. I don't know how my voice is going to hold up this time. I mean, I haven't really tested my voice at all this day, so I'm feeling good right now, but you know, who knows, maybe 10 minutes in I'm going to start feeling my voice being a little raspy, but I mean right now I'm feeling okay, so let's just kind of dive right in. I've had some coffee and I'm feeling pretty good today. I feel like my allergies are clearing up a little bit as well, so let's get another recording session in. So, as per the last episode, or the last maybe couple episodes, I will be sort of going through these turns relatively quickly without a whole lot of talking on my end, I don't think at least, unless some unforeseen circumstances pop up. In the last episode, especially in the last episode, the French Empire has really diminished. I mean, it's been kind of taken apart piecemeal. Here in Western Europe, they're down to Toulouse, Aquitaine, Normandy, and Flanders, and that is it. And then they do have a couple of provinces here in the UK, but they don't have Wales or Scotland. They have lost Scandinavia, but they still have Denmark. They still have Pomerania. They do still have Livonia as well, yeah. And they're still hanging on to Carpathia for some reason, like that hasn't been taken. So that's just a mess, right? They still do have two North African provinces here in Tunisia and Morocco. And then this is their primary problem, is that these armies over here in Palestine, Tripoli, and Syria, they're paying upkeep on all of these armies, and they're not really doing anything, right? They're not accomplishing anything, which is kind of surprising. I kind of thought that these armies would be able to do some work against Egypt. And are we still allied? Yeah, we are still allied. So like, you would think theoretically they wouldn't be worried about me attacking them, and then, which I don't intend to. So at least not in this direction, you know, like, yes, I do intend on attacking them at some point, but not in this direction. I don't really intend on taking territory out here in this part of the world. So, you know, I would think that they would feel pretty comfortable going after Egypt, you know, here in either Edessa or Arabia, or you know, pushing into Sinai and Egypt. I kind of thought they would feel okay doing that, but I don't know why these armies have been relatively you know, idle this whole time. Oh, and also apologies if you hear any construction. There is the apartment above me, which has some construction going on. They're using, you know, screws and saws and hammers and all that fun stuff. So I don't know how much of that you are going to hear. I don't know how much of that my audio editing equipment's going to be able to edit out. But yeah, if you hear some of that in the background, I apologize. It's typically, I mean, I do live in a pretty quiet neighborhood, but so I'm spoiled. But yes, there's, of course, it's summertime. So summer is the season for construction and lawnmowers and motorcycles and all that fun stuff. So anyway, moving on. I don't know how much, like I was saying, I don't know how much there is going to be for me to talk about over the, you know, next few turns. I will make a decision in the year 1400 relatively, whether or not it's time for me to actually go after the French, which I might do anyway. Like, even if they are taken apart, I might go in for an assassination, not like an assassination using my assassins, but an actual like army attempt to, you know, push in and corner their family, kill them off, you know, get rid of the French once and for all, just so that I can make sure that I catch up to them on points. I might do it at this rate with the, you know, amount of territory that they've lost. I might catch up anyway, but there's a good chance that by the year 1400, I'm looking at the score thinking, you know what, just to be safe, let's go in and, you know, finish them off once and for all, just to be safe. And on that note, I've been a little bit, not idle, but I've been focusing my military just on training up my chivalric knights, which I can do here in Lyon, and then Aragon, I can also train up chivalric knights here as well. And I haven't been pushing so hard on my other units because I do feel like I have a lot of them out on the field. Now, here's the thing. When playing as Catholic factions, with my limited experience in this game, what I like to do is to essentially phase through the, you know, the three types of armies, the three phases of armies that you can kind of have in this game as you go from early to high to the late. And in the early period, you know, it's a lot of spear walls and a lot of, you know, light cav and light infantry, stuff like that. And then in the high phase, or the middle phase of the game, you go heavy metal. At least with the Catholic factions, you go heavy metal. You get, you know, heavy infantry with like these chivalric sergeants, you know, good spearmen, These chivalric men-at-arms, good swordsmen, halberdiers, a good armor-piercing anti-cav unit, good heavy skirmishers, and these, Pavis arblasters, and then before them, Pavis crossbows, with their shields and their good armor and the good, I think they even have good, like, melee defense as well. And yes, the missiles as well do a lot of damage. But, this is a slow, plodding army with heavy infantry, heavy skirmishers. There is a good heavy cav available to these Western factions as well. All of them. All of the Catholic factions, even the Danes, which are known for having really shitty cavalry options, they all have access to chivalric knights, which is just a fantastic, very, very good heavy cav unit. So that's kind of the style of play, at least in the mid game, for the Catholic factions. Now, can that style work in the late game? Yes, of course it can. And my experience playing on the early campaign, the campaign that starts in the earlier period and builds onward, in my experience, the AI typically doesn't, they don't become strong enough in the late game to be able to field these armies full of guns and pikes, which is, historically what happened. And it's not really necessary because the heavy metal style, the heavy infantry and heavy cav style does work very well. And you don't really have to move on to pikes and guns if you don't want to. Now, I do like to do that because it's fun. And I also think it is viable. It does take a little bit of practice. The guns are not as strong as they were in Shogun, and they shouldn't be. In my limited understanding of history and guns, this game takes place a few hundred years before the events in Shogun. So, guns are better, I suppose. And that's that. So, but I have still found ways to use them, and I think because of my experience of using guns in Shogun, which I really, really enjoyed. I loved using guns in Shogun, and I've sort of pushed myself to figure out how to use them in this game as well. And I think I've figured out a way, at least to kind of, bring these army comps that are really fun and have a certain flavor, these late medieval flavor of using pikes and guns. And at least with the the Aragonese and the Spanish, they have access to the Lancers, which I'm still working towards. And really, though, the key that unlocks this army composition isn't the guns or the pikes or, I guess it is the Lancers in a certain degree, but really the unit that really unlocks this army comp is the Chivalric Foot Knights, which is the dismounted version of the Chivalric Knights. It's a unit that I really had discounted for a while. It wasn't until a viewer, a subscriber, really kind of clued me in and, was like, hey, you have to use these guys. These are the best heavy infantry units available to you. And I discounted them because they could only, of course, be in 40-man units. And eventually I started using them in custom battles. Like, holy shit, yeah, these guys carry. They just straight up carry. They're a fantastic heavy infantry unit. And I feel like they really do unlock that pike and shot composition, where you'd like the pike and shot to really carry those army comps. But I really felt as a utility piece, the chivalric Foot Knights really do a lot of work, and they help make that army composition work. So, unfortunately, though, I don't know if I'm going to be able to really build that army comp in this campaign because I just had those moments in this campaign where my economy was non-existent, and I was, I fell behind. Really, quite a lot. As if you've been watching this campaign, you know the reasons, the mistakes I've made. So I am behind. And I would say at this point in the campaign, I have a pretty good, decent, heavy metal, mid-game style army. And as I said already, it's viable in late game just because, look at what I'm facing up against. I'm facing up against armies that can be beaten heavy metal style. Like I can march up now and I can punch these armies in the face and I can beat them because they don't have that great quality. At least not, the French, Jesus, they're not looking good at all. The Swiss actually do have the Swiss armored pikemen, which is the best pikemen in the game, and they would just trounce my pikemen. I think I only have access to just regular basic pikemen, and this is something that really caught me off guard. I kind of forgot how much of a late game unit the pikemen are. This whole time I've been focusing on okay, Lancers, let's get Lancers. They're great. They're the best heavy cav in the game. Let's get them. And I kind of forgot, oh shit, it takes a long time to get pikemen. I don't have access to them in any of my provinces. The reason why, I think you need a fortress before you can get them. because yeah, the pikemen are a militia style unit. You can get them from the militia building chain. And here, this is the town militia. I believe this is the 3rd tier of the militia buildings. The 1st tier gets you the urban militia. The 2nd tier gets you the militia sergeants. And yes, the 3rd tier, I don't know if this is available for the castles. I think this is available when you build the citadel, which is the 4th tier castle, I believe. Yeah, which is also a pretty late tier for halberdiers, you know? And my understanding is you have to get that fortress, that 5th tier castle, which I'm working on. You know, it's taken a long time. I think I'm like 1 turn away before it's finished here in Castile, and then I can finally build that that last tier of I think it's called County Militia. Is that the building? I'm not sure. And once that building is complete, then I believe I will be able to train up pikemen. But that's, you know, it's a long ways. And will I actually be able to, you know, have that late tier army ready to go to show it off to you in the late game? I really hope so. It would be really fun to kind of show you kind of what I'm talking about, because at this point I'm training enough chivalric cav so that I can have some in my armies as cavalry and then some as dismounted heavy infantry as well. I have the guns, you know, I'm training at my arquebusiers someplace. Like I have a ton of these guys. So yeah, like I have my guns, I have my heavy cav, which can be dismounted into the heavy infantry. And then I have my genites as well somewhere. You know, I have a bunch of genites. I've been using these since the early game. These are my, you know, they're just a fantastic light cav unit. They really do everything that I need them to do, whether it is harass and attack light infantry, whether it's to chase down routing units, whether it is to drag heavy cav through the mud and just kind of, you know, poke them with their strong javelins and kind of just really harry and harass. And, you know, heavy cav, they can also do the same thing to heavy infantry, but I think that their talents are a little bit wasted because they don't have a ton of javelins. So the damage that they will do relatively is like less so on a big heavy infantry unit than it would be on a unit of heavy cav, because the numbers are smaller on heavy cav units. But in any case, a great light cav unit. I also, you know, another unit that I've sort of discounted is the fact that you can, or I can, train these Turcopelles, which is my horse archer unit over here in Antioch. And this is a unit that can only be trained here in the Levant, I suppose. And this is available to only Catholic factions. It's a unit that's really interesting because it says right here basically that the Crusaders realized that knights were not suited to war in the East, and that they recruited these local mercenaries to fight against these other horse archers that are available to the Egyptians and the Turks, and the Byzantines as well. So I sort of assumed this whole time that Turcopelles had just very basic horse archer stats, which might be the case, but you know what? Now that I'm reading this, and I might be wrong about this, and this might be worth me actually taking a peek at the stats, you know, during my own time, not right now when I'm recording, but this might be worth kind of looking at and comparing this, like the combat stats of this unit to a Spanish Unite. I'm really curious because I know Spanish Unites are pretty decent in melee for being a light cav unit. And I'm seeing right here that just at least on this, he is carrying a shield, which might give him, you know, a bit more armor. Now, these pictures are not always accurate to in-game function. Sometimes you will see shields on units that they don't actually have. At least I think so, at least. And it does say here as well that they are lightly armored and carry both bows and spears, which, you know, if that's also true, that would indicate that they might have like a bonus versus cavalry, or at least they might have a, you know, like a decent attack. Like the spear cav, like the Yari cav in Shogun had a bonus versus cavalry. Even though they were a light cav, they would trade upwards against the medium and heavy cav that they would fight in that game. So I want to take another look at this unit during my own time and kind of see like the function and, you know, how good they actually are. I'm not quite sure if they might just be the same stats as like basic horse archers. I'm not quite sure. So in any case, it might be worth for me to train more of those guys and get them out to my armies, you know, in Greece and Naples and my other borders, right? Aragon, Navarre, Cordoba, and Granada. So I will be taking a closer peek at my armies in this video, in this recording session, because in the last recording session, I just needed to like get get in game and just kind of figure things out and kind of remind myself where I was at. And now in this little session here, I can spend more time focusing on these details, right? And yeah, if I'm just one turn away from finishing a fortress here in Castile, and then I can start working on that militia building, I believe that is that county militia building, then maybe I actually can get those late tier armies out before like the year 1400. We will see. I might be closer than I originally thought, but in any case, I will keep you tuned in if anything dramatic happens in the meantime. That's what I like to see. Homelands, I just scored another 20 points off of, and that's not counting, I believe, the 4 points that I am going to score off of the conquest as well. Let's take a peek. Where are we at? So I am sitting at 16 points beneath France. Catching up though, aren't I? I mean, yeah, they're making 8 points per counting period, and there's going to be 3 more counting periods. Gosh, I might catch up to them. But yeah, you know, why leave it down to the count when I can just move in and smash them? At this point, it would be pretty easy, just based on what I'm seeing. I did see the Egyptians make a move down here. Yeah, they initially had tried to take Palestine back, but then the French armies moved from Syria and just pushed the Egyptians back, which is kind of surprising. I kind of thought that the Egyptians, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. The French are very strong in this area, and I don't see the Egyptians having the strength to do anything about it, but there she goes. And here we are, the county militia building. Yes, I can finally build this here in Castile. The final expression of local pride in a province is the establishment of gentlemen militias. Based in the towns and cities, they owe no feudal loyalties and are independent of the old military system, and have no problems raising money for equipment from wealthy members and sponsors. So alone, this is going to allow me to train pikemen, and this is going to give a +1 valor for my other militia units, such as my militia sergeants, my urban militia, and my halberdiers. Yeah, not bad for the halberdiers, honestly, because I think that their morale is actually kind of shockingly low. So being able to increase their morale by a little bit is good. But also being able to train pikemen is going to be good as well. How long is this going to take? 8 turns. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, these late tier buildings really take a long time, don't they? So let's start getting to work on that. So that's going to be finished in the year 1383. And yeah, I'll be able to start training pikemen then. So I will have a few out by the year 1400. Yes, I will. You know what? Gosh, yeah, looking at the way things are going, I might be able to actually field my late tier armies the way that I intended, but it's going to be a cramped final 50 turns. It's going to be like, you know, just fighting whatever wars I want in the last 50 turns just to show off these armies that I've been kind of holding out on this whole time. And here comes the Swiss swooping in to do my job for me. Jesus Christ, they are really taking it to the French. I mean, they took Burgundy, which is a big blow to the French because that was worth 5 points for them, and now they've taken Toulouse, and Toulouse is going to fall very quickly in just 2 turns. And there's 3 units of chivalric cavalry in this army. I mean, this you know, Toulousian French army was not awful by any means, but man, the Swiss are just coming in here and cleaning up. What else do they have? The Swiss halberdiers, yeah. Yeah, I guess if any units are going to be good against the chivalric knights, it's going to be Swiss armored pikemen and Swiss halberdiers. So that's going to be that. I mean, that's going to be another 2 points for the French that they aren't making, I believe. Toulouse? No, just 1 point. Yeah, Toulouse is just one point. So they would just be making 7 points instead of the 8 that they were making. And they are looking like they might lose Aquitaine as well. I mean, if this is going to fall, what's going to stop the Swiss from swooping in and taking Aquitaine? I might need to make the Swiss my new allies at this point. I mean, holy crap, this is pretty crazy. Yeah, at this point, the only neighboring provinces for me, for the French, they're going to be Morocco and Aquitaine. So I might really need to start thinking about making the Swiss my allies. Yeah. Yeah, where is... Let's see, I have an emissary around here somewhere. Let's just use my bishop. He can try to get an alliance with the Swiss and make sure they don't look in my direction to attack me. That would be unfortunate. And actually, the Pope just died recently. I want to make sure I'm not excommunicated. No, I'm not. Okay, so that's all good. But then neither are the French. Yeah, the French are also in good standing with the Pope. But my oh my, yeah, that's rough for the French. Jesus, they're just disintegrating before our eyes. Now I have finally completed building the cathedral. This is a building that I probably should have built a long time ago. I did initially want it to be built in the province where I was going to be building my Lancers, because it does give +3 morale, and I think that you can only have one of these buildings. So each faith is going to have, like, the Muslims, I think, have the Grand Mosque, which grants +3 morale, and it's my understanding that each faction can only have one of these buildings. So you have to really choose where you want this building built. And I initially was thinking, like, I want these uber soldiers, these uber great, awesome Lancer Knights with top tier morale and armor and weapons and all that good stuff. But then I just kind of realized, like, it's going to take way too long to get that. So I may as well build that here in Aragon, where I can at least, I mean, I can train a lot of units in Aragon, so that's going to be very good for me. And it's also given me another 52 florins per turn, which is kind of neat. And then I can train Cardinals, which is my upgraded bishop unit. And then it also gave me this this title, which I'm kind of surprised by. I didn't think that I was going to get this. I'm not too familiar with this game. I'm still learning things. So I got this Archbishop of Saragossa. Initially, I wasn't really sure where this came from, but then I realized, oh yeah, my cathedral has just been finished. So it must have came from my cathedral. And I suppose if I try to recall, I suppose that the Grand Mosque may have given me a title as well. So this document grants unto the holder the privileges, rights, and duties of this office to be held for the furtherance of the ruler's pleasure and the better governance of this realm. As a direct consequence of this title, the office holder shall receive +2 acumen and +3 piety. Pretty good stuff. The main thing out of that is the acumen, so I'm going to be looking around and seeing which governors are, governing in my provinces that are making the most money, and I'll try to boost that by a bit more. The piety is just kind of a nice little bonus, but I don't think that's going to be too important for me to really concern myself with. In addition to that, my son, this is my first son, yes, he is now of age, which pushing my brother, Prince Fernando, to the rear view, the back seat, I suppose. And yes, looks like my son's okay. 2 dread, 3 commands, 3 piety, a bunch of loyalty, 2 acumen. That's all decent stuff. In addition to that, he is a natural leader as well. So +2 morale and +1 loyalty. Good shit. Secret adulterer. Okay. I mean, he's only 16, but the dude's got game. And yeah, I mean, if you're gonna look like that when you're 16, what can I say, right? So luckily, it's a secret for now. No one really knows about his adulterous ways, because once they find out, he will lose piety, which is unfortunate. But again, not the biggest deal, I don't think. I think that the population loyalty of my people is pretty decent, so I'm not too concerned about that. However, let's see, is there anything else going on right now? I think that there's kind of just back and forth here between the French and the Egypt over Palestine, and there's not really, it seems like that's kind of a, well, yeah, actually, Egypt took it. Yeah. Egypt took Palestine back, and France is, so they're back up to making 8 points. Why is that? Well, they got Toulouse back. That's why. Yeah, there's been a back and forth over Toulouse between them and the Swiss as well. But yeah, other than that, things are looking pretty decent. So I'm just gonna keep chugging along here. So if I do take a look at my highest earning province, which is here in Antioch, and then take a peek at the governor, yeah, they're making 7,000 florins. Holy shit, Antioch is just carrying the load. Lord de Padilla, let me check you out. Let's see how you're doing. So he has a shit ton of acumen, and he also has a title, the Keeper of the Privy Seal. So I don't think you can get more than one title. I think you can be a governor, and then you can get a title, and I think that's it. I don't think you can get a second title. And in addition to that, even if you could, I mean, 8 acumen, I think that it tops out at 9 acumen. So I think that'd be kind of wasted on him, I think. And so if I look at my second earning is Sicily. Yeah, to 4,000. 4,300. And yeah, that's also very, very good. Lord Ramirez, where are you at? So let's check you out. Lord Ramirez does not have a second title. He's just a governor of Sicily. That's it, or the Count of Sicily. And he also only has 6 acumen. So like, let's just imagine where Sicily could be at if they had a couple more acumen. So I think you are going to be my candidate for that title. What was that again? That was the Archbishop of Saragossa. Yes. Let's give that to you. And now, yeah, now he's up to 8 acumen. Good stuff. Where's Sicily at? Sicily is now making 4,900. So it's a boost of like 600 florins, I think, something like that. So not bad at all. So where am I at now? Yeah, sitting at like 3,900, and that's with me training up a lot of soldiers over the last, like 10 years or so. So it is getting to the point where I really am less and less concerned about the French. Oh, they have just built another crusade marker. Jesus. Oh man, I don't know if that's a good idea, guys. I don't know if they're really in a position to be going on crusade. I mean, they are just a mess right now. And what's going to happen once that crusade ends is that, any soldier that's not being, paid upkeep while they're on crusade is going to, pay upkeep once, they're going to cost upkeep once that crusade's over. So yeah, I don't know about that. Also, if it does fail, that's going to cost the king influence. How's he doing on influence? Jesus, he's doing well. I don't know how that's possible considering the state of the French Empire, but he's 58, so he's going to be dying soon. And I'm curious to see what, how his heir is going to be doing. And yeah, that crusade might not be the best idea right now, but in any case, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate for them. But I was thinking, at this point, I don't even know if it's like worth going after the French immediately. However, I'm kind of really tempted. I want to end these wars with the Byzantines and the papacy, just to kind of like, it's touchy though, because it's one thing to like expand out of Greece and take Constantinople and then Serbia just to kind of hurt the Byzantines, and then I can retreat back to Greece. That's all fine and dandy. But then if the Egyptians or the or mostly just the Egyptians is who I'm worried about, if they take these provinces before they turn back over to the rebels, then I count as being at war with the Egyptians, even though I have no intention of keeping these provinces. And this is actually something that happened in my Almohads campaign, which is super annoying because I just finished wiping out the Poles and then I left. And then I just had an empty province, which had not quite gone over to the rebels yet. The Egyptians attacked it, and then I was unable to like ever get a ceasefire with them because they, they were just being stubborn. And I don't want that to happen. Again, that would defeat the whole purpose of me trying to end wars so that I can get more money. So that's, yeah, it's not a great option. It really isn't. It's kind of, I wonder if buying these armies would be a better idea. Sending an emissary over just to buy these armies, and I don't know. I don't know if that really achieves the objective though, because I just want a ceasefire. I just want to force the Byzantines' hand, and maybe the best way to do that is just to assassinate them to death. How are they doing on heirs? Do they just have a shit ton? Yeah, they have like 3 here, and then another 2. So yeah, yeah, they have 6 family members. Yeah, that's a shit ton. So I don't know if that's really possible. Maybe, what would I do with the papacy? See, it's maybe the papacy is a better target to get that ceasefire with. For one thing, they have more ports, so being able to trade with them would be better for me. In addition to that, who is actually strong enough to take these provinces that I would abandon? The Italians? Well, for one thing, we're allies, so I don't think the Italians would do that. The Swiss? Well, they're kind of busy with a war against the French, so I don't know if they would do that either. The Mongols? Yeah, maybe the Mongols would. So maybe the key would be to, like, not take provinces that border the Mongolian territory, so don't take Venice. Attack just northward from Naples. Like, literally, I can just attack these provinces, these 3 provinces, and they don't border anything else other than other papacy provinces. So that could be a good target. Just attack northward from Naples until they say, hey, we give up, we give up, we give up. And then get that ceasefire. Maybe that's like the best option there. Because I just would like to make more money, you know? And I'm not too threatened. I don't feel too threatened by the French, but who knows? I might change my mind. We'll see. I have another 19 years before my self-imposed deadline before I'm thinking like, okay, what am I going to do here with all of these armies? Because at this point, yeah, I'm making 4,000. Like, that's fine, but it's going to run out at some point. So I'm going to have to do something with these armies at some point. Oh, well, isn't this a lovely? The Pope is finally trying to end the hostilities between us. Yes, absolutely. Let's accept that. Yes. That's going to be so nice. I was going to kill you, but I guess I don't have to now. Now we can just trade and you know, be merry, all that good stuff. So let's skip ahead to the exciting part. I want to see how much money I'm making. Oh, yes, that's what I want to see. Almost back up to 8 grand, folks. That's that good shit right there. That's like really, really good. You know what? I'm feeling merciful. I'm going to let that emissary actually live. So, yeah, that is feeling good. I wonder if I can get the Byzantines to accept a ceasefire. You know, one can dream, right? Is the Pope having... Are they at war with someone else? No, they're not. I kind of thought they would be. I kind of assumed that the Pope was just, you know, getting attacked by the Mongols, but no, they just kind of decided to peace out with me out of the kindness of their hearts. They decided they don't really care about Naples. Nah, they forgive me for that. So, good stuff. Nice. Making 8 grand. That feels very, very good. And that's going to put me in a fantastic position because even though I've been like kind of taking it easy on... I'm not training like a super ton of soldiers, but I'm training like the good ones. And I've been losing money. You know, I have been, even though my income's been in a positive just because of the guys I'm training. I haven't been, you know, going up. I've gone from like 170 something to like 150,000. So, you know, I'm still like sitting okay, but it's nice to be in the positive. That's for sure. Here we are. The county militia has finally been completed, and now I can finally train the humble pikemen. Pretty cheap. They only cost 250 florins to train. Pikes are very long spears. This length means that the pikemen need proper training before they can act as a unit. Unlike other troops, the first 4 ranks of pikemen can fight against an enemy, presenting a wall of gleaming spear points to any foolish enough to charge them. So the idea with pikes, because they need to be formed up into ranks of 4, they can end up in sort of more narrower formations than spears, which can spread out and fight in ranks of 2. And so the reason why that's kind of the reason why I've found chivalric foot knights to be a really good unit to pair up with the pikemen and of course the guns, right? Because, you know, the enemy units can outflank the pikemen and they can wrap around the pike. You know, they can attack from the front and they can still have. So for instance, if you're attacking a pikeman unit with a unit of swordsmen, sure, the pikes can hold to the front, but any unit that's wide enough can wrap around that unit of pikes and start attacking into the flanks of that pikeman unit. And that's where the chivalric foot knights come in, right? They can protect the flanks of the pikemen, really cut through any units that are going to wrap around the flanks. And the pikes just do a very good job of just warding off cav. Like, cav are just very wary of training or charging into this unit of pikemen. And that allows the chivalric foot knights and the guns to do their work. Because when units are just like afraid, like when they're like looking at that and they're like, no, we don't even want to attack. So for instance, like pikes in my, you know, very small experience don't tend to get a lot of kills, but just they have this area denial factor, which makes the enemy not even want to come near them. And that kind of, you know, gives you room to push and use your guns to shoot and, you know, use your units on the flanks, whether that's heavy cav or light cav or whatever, to do work on the flanks and really push the center with this core of units that the enemy wants to have nothing to do with. So yeah, that's going to be the key there. I'm going to start training up these guys. And these, as I said before, these are going to be the only pikes that I can train. Unless I were to actually move up here and take Switzerland, I can't train any of their pikes. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I think that Catholic units, they can train pikes. You know, they can get that fortress and get that county militia and train pikes. Or they can take Switzerland and then they can train there's two other pikes, I believe. It's the Swiss pikeman and then the Swiss armored pikeman. Guess which ones are better. So that would be that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be attacking Switzerland just so I can get pikes. I think that the normal pikes, again, in my very limited experience, are sufficient enough to do the job within the army composition that I've constructed. So that's going to be the key there, and it's only the year 1383. So I do have, a few years at least to get some pikes ready for a supposed push around the year 1400. So that's what I will be looking forward to. And by this point, I will be wrapping up this episode. So what do you know? My voice did actually hold out. Oh, okay. It feels okay. So yeah, I feel a little bit better about going into my next episode as well. So, and I feel pretty good about this campaign. It's going pretty slowly, obviously, but I feel well about the direction that I'm in, making some good money, training up some good soldiers, some good armies. And I'm ready to, do whatever I want at this point. I can kind of strike out in any direction that I would like to, whether it's the Byzantines, whether it's the French, I don't know, we will see. I mean, the most logical choice is the French, right? They are still ahead of me on points, and I should not take that for granted. I should, really use my muscle, use my might, go out there and make sure that the job is done so that I can win this campaign, of course. So I have about another 15 turns or so before I make that choice, and I will be, spending those turns, of course, as I have been building up my armies and getting ready to go here. I feel pretty good about it, all in all. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I just want to say thank you very much for watching. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this one. And I've been Concept playing Medieval Total War. Thank you very much, and goodbye.